So this is the show madness continuing. We've got these wall hangings coming up. Got these two 3D ones here where the wood is actually going to be above the resin line. It's got glass cast 3 over the wood and over all the resin, but the wood is actually going to stick up, you can see, like a little ocean. So that's going to be one wall hanging. Seeing that that one's gone under the resin already, and that one is just about going to go under, and in the middle is going to be pronounced. So it's going to be like a 3D effect, which I'm really pleased about. This is going to have a lot more resin, but it's in the middle stages of its pour. Needs quite a bit more there. Once that dries, I can bring that out. Some really cool grey here. Got some aluminium, kind of aluminium dust going in that one. Made a really nice grey. These two are going to be completely clear, like they're encased. Some nice English U there, and more grey version there. So I'm pleased with those. And then let's come in and see these other two tables. Show you today a little bit of the kind of behind the scenes on this slab table. How I've used two different oils. So I've started using Odies a little while ago, and I've got some really cool new Heidelberg oil, and I think the two together is now my favourite combination. So I'll just show you how I used it in conjunction with the base and this slab table, and also a little bit about polishing. The full video of this will be coming when I get round to it. I will be doing a short edited version for my more marketing channel, MW Designs. That will be coming first. And when I get the time to edit the full build from start to finish, obviously you'll see all that on YouTube. But let's just show you this for now. I don't know if I've spoken about it. I've spoken about most of the finishes. The legs are not Odies oil. The legs are this Heidelberg. And it really matches in. Heidelberg is easier to apply, without a doubt. It's a very thin, penetrating oil. Gives an amazing finish. And I'll show you the colour in a minute. It really matches the Odies. The difference with the Odies, it's almost like a wax, really. It's a great product for the resin. You've seen me speak about how I do resin joins and stuff. So the Odies doesn't mind you going up to, I think it's something like 1400 grit. And that's, you know, I take my woods around about 600 to 800, and this resin is about 3000 with some polishing. So the Odies is really good for that. I actually like the way that over time the dark Odies gets a bit darker as well. So this is oak rather than walnut, and I particularly like Odies oil on that. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration. There's quite a lot on YouTube about how to use Odies oil, but how I use it. So you must remember to finish both sides of the table within the same day, because you could end up getting some cupping as you get moisture coming in. So you can't kind of let one side dry before turning it over. So what I do with the Odies, I apply it all on just loosely with a scraper. I'm rubbing it in, making sure it's right in the grain. I can see a bit of smearing, so it's a bit thick. Now what I'll do here at this point, making sure there's no actual sort of lumps left, so it's just a very thick coat. I'll leave this for, I don't know, about 5 or 6 hours. It could be left up to 20 hours, they say. But I'll leave about 5 or 6 hours, and then I'll power buff it off. So I've rubbed it in, make sure I get it on one clean white cloth, get it right into the grain, especially looking out for any dry spots. It takes about 3 days to fully cure. So this is the underside of the table, funny enough. I'm struggling with what to do because the underside looks great. If I show you, I spent more time, when I turn it over, you'll see in a minute, I spent more time. This is like a dappled marble effect on the grey. And the second pour you'll see is my sort of real marble, which I like better than that finish. But when you look at the table from this side, you get to see, because of the way the slice is cut, you get to really see all the insides of the wood, which is really nice. So when I turn it over, you'll see, obviously, well, you'll see when I turn it over. I'll just give you a quick demonstration of the Odies. So this is now okay to flip. I'll put some white towels on there. As I say, it's still definitely a bit waxy feeling, but that's okay because we're going to buff it off within the 20 hours. And I'll flip this over. Okay, so this is the side. It's not got any finish on it. Now it does look easy to apply Odies, but it isn't really any easier than regular hard wax oil like the Heidelberg, because the Heidelberg, like when you're doing legs and stuff like that, the thing with the Heidelberg, which is great, is you rub it on and you're rubbing it in and off in one and you walk away. With the Odies, you've got to come back and buff it. So if it's legs, I find it quite time consuming. So I only ever use it on the top for the slabs and put on with a plastic scraper. You really don't need a lot. Start with that. At first it looks like it's drying in, but it soon stops drying in, so don't put too much on, because you'll find you'll have loads of excess and it's a waste of good oil just to wipe it up with a rag. But oak, this type of burr oak, does have quite a dry, around the knots, it's very dry, so as you're pushing it in, you can actually feel it for the first couple of pushes. It doesn't go in and then it does. It's good on the resin as well, just helps to even off the finish, even, you know, more than I've done with all the buffing. See dry bits here, so I want to put it right in there and actually feel it and then work it up. You get this kind of creamy yellow colour which moves around the table as you start building up the levels. You just sort of start building up the amount. You can see here what I'm saying about the marbling effect. Really nice. This is me stirring it, as you've seen on many of my videos, with a lolly stick. Very late in the cure. It is quite high risk with bubbles, but you do get an amazing effect, like silk-like effect. Okay, so now I've worked it all over and just using a plastic scraper, and there's no dry spots that I can see, but the little bit of excess that's on there is what I'm going to use to wipe around the edges and really rub into the grain. So especially looking at the sort of burry parts of the oak. If you're in the UK, I'll put a link in the description of where I bought mine. I bought it from Odies in Europe, so you don't need to import it from America. They often do deals as well. After I bought it, I've had a few emails saying 20% off or 10% off, I can't remember which it was. So that's really easy to get for us in the UK. In the States, it's obviously even easier because that's where Odies is. So you're just going to go around it and just push it in all the grain, and that's also taking the slight bit of excess off. As I say, I don't mind leaving some on there because I'm going to buff it right off, but you do need to completely remove it within 20 hours, and then it's 3 days for it to fully cure. So the curing's fine, to be honest. All you can't do is put wet mugs on there, hot mugs, stuff like that. Everything else is touch dry after then, so it's not a problem. Okay, so I've left these two without a Heidelberg on. This is the Heidelberg 850001, clear internal, absolutely amazing, really penetrating, seriously hard as well. So you see how easy this is to put on. The bonus of a hard wax oil or like this is it basically you rub it on almost real time. You do get a nice deep colour with this one. It's on the oak, it seems to give it a slight darkening, but really rich looking, and it does, funny enough, it does match up with the Odies as well. And I think that depending what you're doing, if you were just doing an oak table or hardwood table, I would probably use this, to be honest, just because it's so quick and it dries so hard. But if you're doing something, you really want to bring the grain out in a slightly different way, slightly more wax look, the Odies really does that. And of course, if you're working with super high grits, the Odies doesn't mind. I believe they say that this oil goes to about 320. I would be comfortable sanding to 400 myself with this oil, but I've done it, it's no problem. It does go in, it's nice and thin, penetrating, So you can see that's virtually done while we're talking. I'll do the underside and I'll just show you the two colours together. So I've applied that and I'm literally just going to, with a clean cloth, just going to rub that off. Make sure I rub it completely off so there's none sitting on the surface. And that is done so quick. So for legs, this is my go-to, I'm telling you, number one. It's my favourite of the Heidelberg oil, I've got to admit, by a long way. And it has, it's a shame, it's always hard to see on video, but I'll show you the colour. It's that real sort of traditional mix of oils. It's really brought the oak out. Really nice there. And then if I go over quickly to the Odies, I'll put the two, you can still see it's going to match perfectly. So it's very, very similar colour. When I get this on the base, obviously there'll be a video and I'll show you it all done. Okay, so back to the top. Now I've left this for about 2 or 3 hours. What I'm going to do is I'll do a mild buff now, so there's not too much left on there. And then in the morning, within the 20 hours, I'll make sure that I get all of the surface of the Odies off. So just going to give it a real light buff, slow speed. So there's still some Odies to get off, but you can see how cool it is in here. It's so good. Put my hand under it. So lovely that way up. I'm probably going to end up doing this way. I don't like this effect as much. It's a bit more dappled. I do like the underside. But anyway, we'll see. The base is ready. Can't wait to put it on. Okay, so that last table was the Odies oil, which I do really like. It definitely gives a kind of I don't know, it's not a skin, it's like almost like a wax finish. It still feels dry. You definitely don't leave Odies oil on the top. But this other oil, which is a different finish, not as hard wearing, is from the Heidelberg range. So the really hard wearing one, toy safe, food safe, is this one, which I've been using a while, 81100001. That's the toy safe, food safe, super hard wearing, so slightly thicker. So the other one is this one, which you saw, the 850001. Now this is a lot thinner, and the finish, look at this, it's just amazing. This is English U, and I absolutely love it. I put it on top of the resin as well, and then I just buffed it off at the end after it had hardened. 2 coats. I just used a slight abrasive pad. They recommend like 240, very, very light, or 320 between coats. This is so hard, this wood. I just did a little abrasive pad, like a Scotch-Brite. And the colour, it just pops. I absolutely love it. So on certain woods, I really love this oil, and this is, you know, like I said, it was on the legs before, but now I'm using it on this top. It's going to be a coffee table with metal legs, and I went with that oil instead of the Odies. But they're my 2 favourites at the moment. So I've been told that this one is not quite as hard wearing, so it won't be as hard as the Odies, and it won't be as hard as their hard one, which is their really hard wax oil. But because it is so liquid and so thin, the finish is almost, aside from the wonderful colour, the finish is almost as if you've not put anything on the wood. It really is a light coat. Okay, I hope you found that interesting. As you can see, the Odies oil works really well with the resin and the wood, and the new Heidelberg oil is just insane. The colour is beautiful, so easy to apply. So 2 great finishes. You can obviously use the Heidelberg oil with the resin. It's not a problem. You can just apply it. It doesn't really go on the resin very well, so you just apply it to the wood, and then you just buff across when you finish. That's absolutely fine as well. And you can also obviously use Odies on the legs. I just find it a little bit slower to apply for the fiddly legs, but I do love it on the top, especially with the resin. I do use other finishes, but I've kind of come down to these 2 as my main ones. So that's what you mainly see me using, but there'll be a link in the description. Thanks as always so much for watching. Thanks to my patrons. There's even more new patrons. Really appreciate it. There'll be lots of videos coming. It's slowed down a bit because there's a lot going on with the barn and some other projects and some jobs that I'm on. And don't forget the new channel. We've already got 1,100 subscribers. This will be on the new channel first. There'll be a 2-minute version, bit of music, no talking, part of my marketing program for Manor Wood Designs. So please join me over there. Really appreciate it if you do. Until the next one, see you later.